after I can't necessarily think as much as well, and it's like it's just like a thing to do that's nothing else. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. You know what that sounds like?
Yeah, I do know what that sounds like.
That sounds like drugs.
Yeah, we had a big conversation about this yesterday about whole like social media, and it kind of like it just puts you in this like sort of trance where you don't know how much time has passed, and that's why I think he said so.
Welcome everybody to a new episode. I would say this is a follow-up episode to the part one of this, where I'm talking about social media as it pertains to society's stomach for it, but more particularly our attention spans. And I talked about how we went from basically Black Planet and how we're now at TikTok. And my hypothesis was, I think we might be at the precipice, or not the precipice, at the tipping point of what social media is and going to be. And if we're kind of like, what's next? Like, what's going to be the new hotness? Is it going to be more of the same? Is it going to be something we've never thought about? So I said I was going to try to get some students in here because they're the generation that should have these answers, not me. So let's get right to it. I want to introduce the students. Say hi, everybody.
Hi.
That's
Hello.
nice.
So let me screw it up. So we were just talking about this in class, right? So just to give you a little like a recap, you go from Black Planet, you start with like MySpace, right? The first super popular one. You get to Facebook, you get to Twitter. So Facebook, you can see a lot of stuff. MySpace was the Wild Wild West. You can see everything, right? That was a little before y'all's time, but y'all kind of came in during the Facebook era,
Yeah.
especially the Instagram era, right?
Instagram
Yeah.
was very big when we were like middle school, right?
Yeah, I think it started when I was in like 5th or 6th grade.
Yeah, I remember like everyone starting to get Instagrams and being like, "Hey guys, like, what's your Instagram?" in
Yeah.
school and stuff.
Right, and I was just explaining to them how Twitter came about. When Twitter first came out, of course they had a website. There was no apps yet. And there was a website. In order to tweet, you had to actually text message to a specific number, and that would send out your tweet. So you got to think about how social media started. It started on computers. You had to open up your computer, turn on your computer, sit down, so you're a more captive audience. But once the iPhone came out in 2007, Instagram and Pinterest dropped in 2010. So now it's a different interaction for social media. So our attention spans, I think, has coincided with that. What do y'all think about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely like the ease of use in like the fact that you can just sort of open your phone, pick out 3 things you want to see today, look at it, like it, put your phone down, go do something else, and you have that like instant gratification sort of model with social media, where you want to see what you want, you don't want to see what you don't want, and you want to see as much as you possibly can because you get on social media and you want to waste time or see what your friends are doing or see what your friends like. So you have these like areas of social media where it's just instant gratification, instant gratification, instant gratification. And then you get the dopamine rush, and you work all this through like the human mind in such a short time that it sort of like fries our receptors for what we really think as entertainment. And I think that's going to be brought up later with like our attention span and stuff like that. But social media has gone from like a thing where you kind of share long, eloquent thoughts with people who are there to care, to just sort of post what you want and get a big number and get happy.
Glad you said that. So social media for me, so I'm not gonna say my age, but I'm way older than you. I can be these guys' parents, like an old parent at that. But you said it fries our receptors,
Yeah.
right? And then you also said, I came up where you did spend a little time with your post because it was a computer. It was like a keyboard. It was like work. You spend a little time with your post and your photos, and you had to like take maybe a photo with a camera for real. You had to have a way to upload it to your computer so you can post it. So it wasn't so quick. It wasn't like boom, boom, it's on my social media feed. That's interesting. But frying receptors, I want to piggyback off of that because I want you to tell the people how you describe why you use TikTok.
I mean, like me personally, I don't use TikTok that often, and when I do use TikTok or Instagram Reels for that matter, because to me they're both very similar, I tend to get sucked into it. It's almost like a mind-numbing experience. So the only times I really go on to that type of thing is if I'm like having time to do nothing for the rest of the afternoon, and I know the rest of my day I can pretty much set aside a few hours to pretty much be dull, to be mind numb, because for me at least I've noticed it numbs my brain, and after I can't necessarily think as much as well, and it's like it's just like a thing to do that's nothing else. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, makes perfect sense. You know what that sounds like?
Yeah, I do know what that sounds like.
That sounds like drugs.
Yeah, we had a big conversation about this yesterday about whole like social media, and it kind of like it just puts you in this like sort of trance where you don't know how much time has passed, and that's why I think he sets like time aside just so in case he spends 10 hours on it. Ridiculous number, I know you don't, but like sometimes I sit down.
That's realistic.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
For some people, yeah, it's crazy. Some people use a ridiculous amount of social media. But like sometimes I'll go to the bathroom, I'll sit down on my phone, open TikTok, scroll for like 5 minutes, I'll look at the clock, 20 minutes have passed, and I'm like, wow, I didn't think it'd be that long, because I sat down just to do one thing, look at like a few TikToks and get back up.
Yeah.
And then you realize you've been in there for 20 minutes and you're like, how did so much of my time get wasted? It's kind of like a vacuum.
And my neck hurts because I'm
you're tearing down.
Yeah.
I can't focus now because I'm just focused on this little screen.
Yeah.
All right. Why do you use TikTok?
So I feel like I'm a different scenario. Once I graduate in May, I'm planning on going into social media management. And I've personally found that ever since I started getting involved with managing social media pages, I've been using my personal pages a lot less. So, yes, while I still do experience that mind-numbing doom scrolling, they call it, where you're just scrolling for an hour or two and you think it's only 20 minutes, a lot of the stuff I do on TikTok is research, whether it's researching something for a social media strategy or researching something about a recipe to cook for dinner or healthy foods, workouts, all of that kind of stuff. Social media has really become a search engine. I saw a statistic a while ago saying that YouTube is the second largest search engine after Google.
Yeah.
People are using all of these platforms as research tools rather than just doom scrolling. So I'm about 50-50.
Okay.
But something really interesting that I've noticed is ever since I started getting more involved with social media, I've been posting on my personal pages a lot less.
Yeah.
I think something interesting to add on to that is the fact that TikTok now has like STEM and education like tabs on your TikTok, so you can go to that. But I think that was honestly just kind of a way to cover up for what they're doing, in the fact that they have like
Undoubtedly.
dopamine things, and then they're like, oh, but look at this, we're educational, we added this like page off in the distance that has like 4 videos on it. I remember I scrolled down it once and I got like 5 videos in, and I was like, wow, this is like not TikTok at all, because it was long form content, it was educational content, and it's just very much the opposite of TikTok, because TikTok is meant for entertainment or social media or like brands and stuff like that. And it's like, it's really weird to see the evolution of TikTok throughout its use, because at first it was just sort of coming back off of Vine and Musical.ly, and people were seeing that.
It was karaoke. It was like,
yeah,
TikTok is Musical.ly.
Yeah.
it was
the logo still looks like a music note.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Vibrating.
It was dances, music, and it's very much branched away from that original thing and just become sort of an all-purpose platform now. You've got TikTok Shop, which, not good, but it's there. You've got brands advertising. You've got...
But that's how all these social media platforms have evolved. It's like this. If y'all decide y'all going to put together a business that involves the public, y'all put it out. I always recommend when people do that, you put it out in the lowest form possible. And it gives it more room to grow. But if you put something out very specifically for a specific reason, it might just stay that reason, and people might not. If people don't want that, they won't use it ever. But you give it space to grow. So Facebook becomes Facebook after it just says, hey, you can put a profile pic up and you can do updates. And then it turned into shopping, and it turned into stuff like that. So that's usually how things grow. Jose, what's your social media of choice?
I really prefer TikTok
Yeah.
too, but I use it more like, as you said, as a search engine. For example, a week ago I was coming from the airport to the university, and my tire just popped up. And instead of calling my dad, instead of calling a friend, or even going to Google to know what to do,
Yeah.
I went to TikTok and then say what to do when.
How do you change the tire?
Yeah, how to change the tire.
That's
And
cool.
I did it with TikTok. It was really helpful for me. So I think I used it some way since that day.
Right. All right. So just to continue, so one thing I forgot to do, and let's do it now, is go around and introduce ourselves real quick. You know who I am, so we'll start right here.
So my name's John. I'm 20 years old and I go to school here, and yeah.
There you go.
My name's Sydney. I'm 22, and I am studying multimedia journalism and advertising.
I'm Robert. I study fashion. Peep the shirt. Nice clean little shirt. Other than that, I'm 20. Go to school here, and I'm excited to be talking about this stuff.
What's your major? I like that. What's your major though?
In fashion.
Oh, that's right. That was the okay.
Yeah,
It
that's
sounded like you was just I'm a fashionista. I'm a fashionista.
He was just trying to plug the
He's actually
shirt.
studying
I'm
it, too.
plugging the shirt. Yeah.
Okay, hey, nice to meet you. I'm Kenji. I'm from Bolivia. That's South America. And my major here is investment management.
Investment management. And what's your major?
International business management.
So I have some this is dope. I wanted to get them in this podcast booth because this is one of the few times where often I get people from other majors taking my class as electives, and they just give a way different viewpoint of everything. So that's the reason why I kind of wanted to get these students in here. So to kind of continue from that chronological, when I was talking about, MySpace, Facebook, blah, 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 Vine came out, right? How many of you use Vine?
Yeah.
Yep.
Right?
Oh, the good old
So
days.
Vine kind of started we can call it a revolution, this short format video revolution. Like nobody knew that people would take to it so crazily until Vine did it. And that usually when you come out with something that's popping, you're going to get copycats, right? And TikTok was a copycat basically. And it just kind of, I think it won that war. Or I don't know if somebody bought Vine or took it over.
Yeah, because Vine turned into Musical.ly, and then Musical.ly turned into TikTok. So it's kind of like a successor in a way.
Okay, yeah, there you go.
Because I remember when Vine came out, because I've never been the type of person to post a ton on social media, or even because I don't really enjoy posting on social media. I mean, it's my life. I don't really know. I'm not the type of person to be like, hey guys, look what I'm doing. But I do remember when I was younger and when Vine came out, I distinctly remember being on a family vacation and downloading it, and I was like, I don't know, I was just amazed by the whole concept, and I remember there was a bird at the resort we were staying at, and it was so cool. So I remember I had tried to take multiple videos of this bird to turn it into a Vine, and I remember I posted that, and it's interesting because it really captivated people to kind of do it and want to create a video.
Yeah, and I know Vine, I think it was its own thing first, and then Musical.ly came along, and eventually Vine, it was too expensive to keep the servers up, so they had no other choice but to completely shut down. But Musical.ly is the exact same thing as TikTok. Like, people went to go update their app one day, and boom, Musical.ly was gone, and now it's TikTok.
So when I was kind of doing my research about MySpace, because, in the whole scheme of things, it's not that long ago, 2002, but I forgot, it started as just MySpace, right? A social media, before social media was a term. It was just a way to connect with friends type of thing. Then it turned into a business platform where you saw more and more people just using it as their business platform to sell merch, to even download music. And then they found out what happens in a business like that. And this is not a business class, and I'm not a business professor, but it found out that a lot of artists, for instance, Soulja Boy, blew up with MySpace. He just was putting all his music out there. That was you didn't have to go to the record store and get his music. You got it off his MySpace page. And then they found out that more and more musicians were doing that. And they just turned it into, so when Facebook came out, actually, and they had competition for Facebook, and they could see probably they was losing, they made it MySpace Music. They just leaned more into the music part, and it kind of gave it a couple more years, probably being MySpace Music. And that's just how it goes. Like you launch something, it's just this, but the users dictate how they're going to use it.
Yeah.
So you can put out a something like a phone. Just give somebody a phone. Like give a 10-year-old a phone, and don't tell them how to use it. They'll use it completely different than you use it. And then if you see millions and millions of more people using it for this intent that you didn't even intend in the beginning, you're going to lean into the users, right? And that happened to be what TikTok just turned into.
Yeah.
And nobody would have imagined that we needed TikTok until they told us, until they put it out there. It's like the Steve Jobs thing. Like Steve Jobs thing is like, don't ask the users what they want. Like, let's give them what we think they want, because they don't even know that they want it until they have it, right? So that leads into the reason for the season is what's next. What do you think is next? You think say in the next 5 years, I won't even say 10 years, I think the next 5 years are going to be crazy with the technology boom, with AI. What do you see in the social media space, I would say, in the next 5 to 10 years?
I'm very interested to see where Meta goes. A lot of Gen Z is not happy with the Meta apps right now. The way Instagram updated their profile grids, that really affected a lot of social media managers, influencers, brands, and it completely ruined people's look. And it's been enough for people to delete the apps. There's been a movement to tank their stock. People are really upset. So I think at least with our generation in the next few years, there's going to be a movement to move away from Instagram and Facebook. It's just a matter of what replaces it.
Right.
I think to build onto that, I think a lot of social media now has been owned by these big, very like corporations and headed by these like figures. So like let's say Twitter bought out by Elon Musk. A lot of Gen Z either love him or hate him. So you have that dichotomy of now they're in this qualm of, do we use Twitter even though we hate this guy? And an interesting thing that I saw recently was a sort of Twitter clone or like an offshoot of it came out called Blue Sky. And I've seen a lot of people use that now because it's more user friendly. Yeah. It's just that there's a lot more to it than Twitter, and I think going forward, there's going to be a lot of division in social media where people kind of split off from these very big ones to go to these smaller ones that they agree more with, or that is more accessible to them. And I think the only monolith that will stay through and through are going to be the big ones like Snapchat, because it's just convenient.
It's so funny when y'all mention. So my students, when I talk about social media in any class, the fact that a lot of my students still use Snapchat. See, in my circles, we think Snapchat is gone. It's like one of those tools that is a young people tool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it stayed a young people tool. Once Facebook, like I said, once your grandmother got on Facebook, it was like, y'all got off of Facebook. I got off of Facebook. Like, once your mom gets on your platform, it's not cool anymore. But I felt like our generation, I would say no, the generation that's older than me, they never jumped on Snapchat. Like, they never really got it, so they never jumped on it. And it remains like a very, very strong tool for you guys. But every time I hear Snapchat, it's like, oh, I forgot about Snapchat. Like, even in my chronological, Snapchat was, when did Snapchat come out? What do you think, like, in between Facebook and Instagram?
2013, 14, shortly after Instagram.
So a little bit after.
Yeah.
I will say, though, my mom and dad are on Snapchat, so shout out to them for being cool parents.
So that would be like me, though. I'm probably their age, right?
You're a little bit younger than them, I think.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, and it's interesting, too, because, I mean, just to bounce back a little bit, we're filming this like a little bit after the whole incident happened with TikTok and the whole ban situation. Where we weren't really sure what was going to happen with that, and now we're still unsure, as it's only, from my understanding, a temporary unban, and so that sparked a lot of this kind of this debate of what other social media platforms are out there. So I think that helped Blue Sky, for example, boost the amount of users as well. And there's another app that I've had some people tell me about, and I have a few friends who have used it. It's called Red Note, and it's very similar to TikTok. It's just kind of more of a global style version of TikTok, where you can kind of communicate with people from all over. And when you open the app and you look at what people have posted and stuff, most of the time it's not necessarily in English. It's a lot of times it's in foreign language. However, the app will help you translate it. But it's interesting to see that people are now kind of moving away and towards these other apps after this whole thing. Even though, for the time being, TikTok is still back, I've noticed a lot of people have still kind of pushed off to the side from this whole situation occurring.
Yeah, the uncertainty with the TikTok situation has definitely started like pushing people to really just kind of explore new options. And I think to bounce back to the Snapchat thing, I think Snapchat is like the streamlined of everything we want from social media. Well, not now, because we have TikTok and stuff, and they're trying to do TikToks and stuff, but it's not really working out for them. But in the past, Snapchat was a very like premium streamline. You talk to your friends, you send them photos, you post on your story. That's it. There's no likes. There's no like comments. You have to talk to people to comment on a post, and it helps with communication. It's direct contact, and I think that like streamlined efficiency and really contact help people to hop onto it. And I know the only reason I used saying, because I don't use it anymore, but was when I first got here to college, and I just used Snapchat, make a bunch of friends, see what they post, see what their lives are like, and see if we have any common interests, and I can hit it off from there if we do, and if not, I can just be like, oh, that looks fun, have fun, maintain that like associate type of position rather than a closer friendship.
Word. So yeah, it's like so there's a few things I want to touch on, just because I just downloaded Blue Sky like a week ago, right? I've been hearing about it and hearing about it. And what it basically is, from my standpoint, is it's Twitter. It's like the same interface, the same color. It's just basically like, okay, y'all tired of Twitter or X or whatever? It's something exactly like it, just like Red Note is to TikTok.
Same founder too.
But it's like it's not as algorithmically, if that's a word, driven, right? It's more chronological, and that's what makes it feel lighter. It's not so heavy. It's not so news driven. It's not so like, what's the new hotness that's going to get the most like likes. It's just like information. Another one is, but it's like the same. So that's my point. It's the same. It's no innovation. Another one is Threads. So Threads is another Twitter competitor, alternative. It's way more light. It's actually, Threads feels airy. Threads feels like, and whenever it just feels like when you see posting Threads, people are on there like, ooh, this feels so good in here. It's like you see commentary like that. It feels so good compared to Twitter. It's just, Twitter's became this crazy place, and Threads just feel, and that's how Blue Sky, and that's even the name. So they're in a basic graphic design class. So we go over stuff like branding, and the name Blue Sky just kind of lends itself to like it's a new day. Y'all been experiencing the bad stuff here. Just come over to Blue Sky. Yeah. Another one that I use is Spiel. It's another one. So it's all these, but it's the same. It's like all these are basically the same concept, just with a different user base.
Yeah, and I think with Blue Sky, that was also founded by Jack Dorsey, who founded Twitter. And I heard about it several months back in one of my internships. My boss told me about it and said, oh, should we be on this? And I was like, I don't know, but like, yeah, check it out, I guess. And then I looked into it a little bit more and found out it's essentially the same exact thing as Twitter.
Yes.
But with the TikTok ban, I did see a lot of people talking about Blue Sky, and not only were they saying they wanted to tank Meta stock, but they also wanted to get off of X and have this whole movement to tank it.
Oh yeah.
Gen Z is crazy.
But it's
The language. Okay, when y'all keep remind me, Gen Z, what are y'all referring to when you see Gen Z?
It's I'm pretty sure technically it's 12 to 27, so it's a big
y'all
age
are Gen
range.
Z.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're like middle later end of it.
We're like kind of the tail end, I think. I'm pretty sure it ends when, like, what year does it end?
So the people older than you, those are millennials? Is it like
the generation up is millennials.
Millennials, and then
X.
Gen X.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like right in that between a millennial and X. Like if I was born like maybe 3 years earlier, I would be like millennial.
Okay.
Anyway, so I just wanted to clarify. But it's funny what you just said. You said everybody's trying to get off X.
Yeah.
What does that sound like? Drugs. Like social media is drugs. But anyway, that's what
It is.
Man.
And even working in it, like even though I haven't had any full-time job experience in social media yet, everything is about hooking you.
Heck yeah.
There are certain tricks, the algorithm, it's all about getting you addicted to social media. That's the hack.
Free. It's going to make you feel good. It's free.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to have more, there's premium, you know.
Yeah, and
It's drugs, bro.
and it's interesting too, because I mean, even I'm not super familiar with Blue Sky, to be completely honest.
You are, 'cause it's Twitter.
But exactly. So like
the same interface.
from what everything you guys are describing, it's pretty much another version of Twitter, which in and of itself is interesting to me because do you have the fact that I mean TikTok came out in September of 2016, right? So we're almost coming up to September of 2025 in a few months here. So TikTok will be 9 years old. I mean, and we've touched upon this already. These other social medias are all assimilating to each other, and it's all getting to this scrolling, this doom scroll style, almost TikTok style in a way, video format for all these different social media platforms. And it's interesting because this is like the first thing in 8 years that's really happened, but it's not like a new innovation. It's more of like, hey guys, remember Twitter? It was so good. Let's bring that back. And it doesn't seem like we're innovating in the sense of new social medias. It seems like we're almost backtracking a little bit, which is interesting for sure.
I think the reason for the backtracking is because of the acquisition and because of the changes to the platform. Like the checkmark change, where you could buy the checkmark for $8, whereas it used to be something you had to get from being popular, from having followers, from like legitimizing yourself. And by making this change, like the way the new blue check marks work is that you pay $8 and you get boosted to the top of the replies, you get boosted in the algorithm, and if you sign up for the monetization, every like 10,000 views or something, you get like $1 or something. I don't know the exact money amount, but it incentivizes the click farming. It incentivizes posting as often as optional.
Yeah.
And it just kind of like turns what used to be a fun place to post what you're thinking about and your art, your videos, your gaming clips, and it turns into this like money making scheme where you want to get the most clicks, the most views, the most likes, and it kind of turned it into a place where you scroll through Twitter and then you see all these blue check marks and they're all posting these things that make you want to click on them and interact with them, and then you realize they're just doing it for money.
And then you realize that 80% of them are bots.
Yeah, that too. The bot problem got way worse when Elon took over.
Are a thing,
Yeah.
right? The bots are a thing. Jose, if you were to prognosticate, meaning you could tell the future, and I was going to ask you, like, hey, I have $1 million in my pocket, right? And I have faith that you have a pulse of society or even your community. Like, what would you recommend to me to convince, like, what's going to be next? It's like, so you made a good point, John, that we've been talking about. TikTok has been out for 8-9 years now, and we haven't seen any innovation in social media for that long, where it used to be like every year you saw something kind of new and different. Now it's kind of like stagnant. So I think that's the word. It's like stagnant, and we're starting to see people kind of revert back, but what we're really experiencing is stagnation. It's like more of the same. So if I was like, hey, I got $1 million, bro, in my pocket, what do you think is going to be next in the social media space? And it doesn't even have to be social media, but what do you think is next for like user engagement in that kind of aspect?
Nowadays, I think it's hard to know it, but a few months ago, I would think it would be related to virtual reality, like with the Apple Vision Pro.
Yeah.
Like release, it was like a lot of stuff going on. It was something new that would revolutionize the technology, the stuff. And I think a few months ago, I would say it would be something related to that, where you can, I don't know, create a profile, be in there, related to virtual reality and that stuff. But nowadays, I think it's gonna be with TikTok for some years.
You see it's going to be TikTok forever?
not forever, but at some point it's.
That's a movie, TikTok forever.
Going off of what John said, though, I thought that was really interesting. Saying, like, talking about how Blue Sky is just Twitter. People aren't creating anything new. And I think that's a big overall trend with Gen Z. All of the media we consume is old TV shows. Suits made a comeback. Grey's Anatomy made a comeback when I was early in high school. And I think I was actually talking to someone about this the other day. I think as Gen Z, we've grown up in such a tough time between all of the natural disasters and divisiveness in the country. I think a lot of us are just craving that feeling we had when we were younger, where everything was normal. There was no stress. There was nothing. And I think that affects our media habits as well, whether it's traditional media, TV, all of that, or social media.
Yeah, I think to build onto that, I think a big thing with the social media, the like homogenization of it all, and how they want to kind of adapt what TikTok's doing because they see how successful it is. I think the shift in like media and why we're so inclined to go to these old medias, these old shows, all these old movies, is because everything is profit driven now. Everything is, we want to squeeze as much money out of it as we possibly can. And to put it lightly, people aren't idiots. People aren't morons. They know when they're being targeted to or marketed to, and they know when something's made just for the money.
Some people aren't idiots.
Yeah, some
We
people.
do have our fair share of idiots in society.
Oh yeah, big
Yes.
time. But I
and
think
there's more idiots than non-idiots.
yeah, that's a big
Spend
portion.
more money.
That's a big portion of why social media is like this, because they know people will spend money, they'll spend more time, because there's more people that are willing to just mindlessly consume things than they are to critically think about them and why they're being served this.
Yeah.
So think of it like going to a restaurant and getting served, let's say, a burger. Some people will just eat the burger without thinking. Some people will take a bite, think, this tastes a little funny. And they'll look inside and see it's not cooked the way they want. And then that'll cause them to think twice about going back to that place or even paying for the meal and asking for, a refund or cooked again. And I think that issue is very prevalent in social media in that people just consume, they swipe, they buy off the TikTok shop, they buy stuff off of Instagram, Facebook Marketplace.
Okay.
They don't think about
I want to interrupt you because I don't want to lose the thought. Okay. I would consider you have super users of social media, right? And you have casual users of social media, right? There's probably a term for that for social media experts, but sorry for not being a social media expert. But influencers keep these things alive. Like, so it gets to the point where I feel like these entities have to cater towards their bread and butter, which is influencers. Like, those bring the millions of views. It's not the platform. It's Kai Cenat doing something crazy. It's some group, it's some family renting a house and filling the bathtub with marbles just to do it. It's interesting, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, what are they doing? Let's cater to them. Does anybody in here kind of know an influencer?
Like personally or just like no?
Personally. No? Okay, next question. Does anybody in here own a VR or AR device?
No.
Not even you, John? Seemed like you would own something.
I've used
know,
many
I
times,
did.
and like
I own a MetaQuest 2, like the old one, like
Yeah.
the one that was released during COVID, right? Ask me how many times I've used it.
I guess.
how many?
Probably like 5 times,
Wow, I was gonna guess 4.
right? And it's scary. But so Gen Z, y'all are the market. Well, I always tell you, y'all are the golden market. 18 to 25, young professional with expendable income. Y'all are that, right? Y'all are the market that should be buying the new VR, the new whatever. That's what we used to do. Like, the new HD TV came out, me and my boys was saving up all our money, our tax returns, to just spend it all on and HD TVs, you might get $1,500. Now they're dirt cheap.
Yeah, and there's a problem too with that technology, like because what I used personally is I used the Microsoft HoloLens.
Yeah.
So that's kind of
That's a little different.
It's very different. But in the sense of like the VR goggles and such, I've used like Oculuses before, and the way I think it was the Oculus Quest, and basically the way it was just so close to my eyes, and just because you had the goggles on the screen, it just messed with my head, and it was messing with it was just an uncomfortable experience, and something I don't even want to try again, regardless of how good it was, just because I had such a poor experience with it.
So to piggyback off of that is to what you said, Jose, is that so when I asked ChatGPT what is going to be the new hotness, I asked basically the same question I asked you. What's the new hotness, like beyond what's the next blah blah blah? And the first answer was VR AR, and the explanation was, so instead of going to your page or your Facebook page or to your TikTok feed or to whatever, I'm virtually walking into your space maybe, and I'm interacting with your stuff. I'm looking at your art. I'm listening to your music. I'm talking to you if you're in the space at the same time. Or I'm talking to your avatar, your representative that knows, and I'm going to ask it questions and it's going to answer on behalf of you, because we're all going to have an avatar, the AI generated avatar. That will happen. But, and I'm reading that as the first one, like almost like, is this what you want to happen, ChatGPT? Or is this what you really think is going to happen? But the fact that Gen Z, I mean, I know it's only 4 representatives of it, but I haven't yet seen a student like, yeah, VR. I can't wait to go get my VR headset.
Yeah.
I've seen
It's
one.
going to be so great, right?
I think to build on the whole VR thing and like how we're the target market, I think with the economic climate we're in, and that a lot of people are struggling to make their own lives and, you know, get out there. I think a lot of the expendable income that younger people have is going towards necessities rather than being able to save up for, you know, this brand new technology, this VR thing. And because it's so like kind of scarce and so like valuable to people, they want to save that money and spend it on something that they'll get way more out of than gambling on a VR. Like, let's say with your example, you get a VR set, suddenly you get motion sickness from it and you can't use it. That's like $500 down the drain. And that's $500 you could have either saved for, you know, next month's rent, or gotten like an Xbox or a PlayStation.
What if it,
Or
you know, that's
invested.
technology. It's always going to get cheaper and cheaper, cheaper, cheaper. The Vision Pro was released not to be a consumer product. It's a test. It's a proof of concept. It's to see if people bought it and people used it. I think they saw, it's like a test. It's like, it's masterful by Apple, right? It's like, hey, let the consumers pay for the testing. It's like, charge $3,500. You know, we don't really care if they buy it. If they buy it, cool, and they're in their test subjects. And then they found that people were just like using it, and then putting it down. So now when you go to apple.com, Vision Pro isn't even on the first page scrolling. It's a little link at the top. You got to search for it. It's not their priority. You can tell. You can go in the Apple Store right now. It's not a priority like it used to, because they saw the results.
Going to your ChatGPT conversation.
Right.
I like extremely disagree with that. Something I've said for many, many, many years.
Mm-hmm.
Not that many, I'm 22, but a few years now, is I remember when Snapchat came out. I remember when Instagram came out. I remember how many of my friends were talking to random guys in different countries. I remember how creepy it was. I remember nobody having control over it. And that kind of stuff scars me. And I think our generation is a lot more aware that happens on social media, obviously, than our parents were. Nobody knew what it was going to look like. And I think for that reason, when we all have kids one day and raise the next generation of media consumers, I think we're going to be a lot more careful with how we let them consume media, what age we let them consume media, because we've seen the effects of it firsthand.
I have a. Did you want to say something, Jose?
No, it's
Okay. I have to piggyback over that. It's kind of like how you see less and less parents letting their children play tackle football.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's a long burn. It's not immediate, but it's just like, soon as we saw people like laid out, lifeless on the field
With their
and
CTEs.
Now we're seeing older players with CTE, and it's just like you got parents like, okay, do I let soccer, lacrosse, basketball, like tackle football? Then over time, you start seeing effects. The NFL starts seeing effects. It's less and less of the elite athletes playing that sport, and you're saying that you're going to see less and less people with the appetite for something like TikTok or even the next TikTok.
Yeah.
And it's going to eventually kind of organically push it away.
Or be a lot more monitored.
I was about to
Yeah.
say, I think to hop onto that, I think parents, us as a generation, we're a lot more cautious when it comes to that. I can't speak for everybody, obviously, but like the people that have been on social media and seen what it can do and like the dangers it can bring, know that they, like we go on social media all the time. It's just a habit. We go on Instagram, TikTok, whatever. We go on it. We can't help it. But we've learned through experiences how to stay safe on it and how to not like interact with strangers or, you know, grown men that will probably send you uncensored pictures that you don't want to see.
In
So-
VR.
Oh, in VR it'd be even worse.
That's
But,
terrifying.
I remember. Do you? Sorry, I don't mean to steal but I don't know if you guys remember. There was like a whole thing. I don't remember how long ago it was, but it was pretty recently, relatively recently, where I don't remember exactly what it was called, but it was like the Meta World or whatever it's called.
So, okay,
Yeah.
and I'll stop you. VR chat. When I first said, hey, I got the VR, the Quest Pro, and I had the students, and a couple of the students had got it, and they was like, where do you go? And, you know, they were like, VR chat. And it's called VR chat. It has since went under, right? But it was basically that. And
Yeah.
Meta Worlds was one of them.
And I remember seeing a interesting video about some crimes, some people being charged with real life crimes from something that happened through there.
That's
And
crazy.
I thought it was the most ridiculous thing because you're wearing these goggles. If something is happening to you that you don't like or you're seeing something that you don't like, take the goggles off. Go back to real life. We all live in the real world. How is it? And so it'll be interesting to see what happens in the future. Sorry, I didn't mean to hijack
It's the same
it.
thing as something's happening on the corner in real life, not in VR, but something happens right here.
Yeah.
And I see a crime happening and I don't leave.
Yeah.
'Cause
Or you
it's-
take out your phone and
you
take
take
a
out your
video.
phone, right?
There's something called the bystander effect where
Yeah.
you see something happening and you kind of just get frozen. You can't do anything.
Yeah.
So
And-
I said this on a previous podcast. I know it's going to repeat, but I don't get that many views, so whatever. But my first
Shout out to
experience,
everybody watching.
I haven't used that VR since this experience. I went into VR chat because I took my students like, let me go check out this VR chat thing, and it was like MySpace for VR, right? So you can go in there and make a room. You can build a room and you can put stuff in your room. So I just went into a door. It's kind of like a door, like a logo or something. It's almost like you opening the door to go into a random room. It's like, okay, let me just check out this room, which is scary. And I felt my palms sweating and I was scared, right? And I opened up the door, and then it's kind of like you go in and it's like you hear the door shut behind, like, right? But then I hear some people talking in another room because it was like a series of rooms. Like it seems like they're around the corner. Like I said, they were, but it was like a couple. It was like some dudes harassing a girl. You can hear it. Like, hey, let me. It was just like very weird. I don't know if they was playing or not, but it was just like they were harassing her.
Yeah.
But I did. It made me not. I just stood right there.
Yep.
And I'm like, am I gonna keep walking or am I just gonna leave?
And
But when I went in there and they heard that door, they were like, yeah, and then they were like, shh, I think somebody just came in. And I was like, that's me. And I just lift the door and I pulled, like I did what you said. I pulled that thing off like it was a movie, like, oh, and I started breathing like, like I just got out of the Matrix just in
Yeah.
time.
and I mean, it'll be interesting for us too, because when we have kids, depending on how that technology actually goes, I mean, that could be a real fear for some of our children. And so it'll be interesting to see, because I think that needs to be something as parents, you reinforce to your children of, hey, this is not real. This is all make-believe. At the end of the day, if something happens, you don't like it, you're uncomfortable, or something is going on that you're not happy with, take the goggles off and walk away.
I think
Exactly.
that's a
Put the
big
phone
thing.
down.
Yeah.
Yes.
And walk away.
I think a big thing we were raised with as a generation in general is that you are in control of your own actions, and if something's happening to you, you need to speak up, leave, or solve it yourself. That's something like Gen Z was raised with, and it's good advice. Because, you know, if you're getting bullied and you just sit there and stay quiet, obviously you have a reason for staying quiet, but nothing's going to happen. You have to go tell a trusted adult, a teacher, or something like that. And I think with VR and online spaces, you have that kind of, I guess, responsibility to be the one that steps up, because you have a lot of people that don't. But also, with your case, when people do this and then they single you out, it's kind of just nerve-wracking, because you are being very much perceived by people, and it kind of feels like you're being, like, hunted. And it's like they all attention is on you, and you are just stuck there. You don't know what to do. You don't know, should I step in? Should I leave? Should I, you know, go confront them? It's just a very, like, complicated situation that you have to be, like, mentally ready
It's a
for.
different world. It's like if I dropped y'all all into a neighborhood you're not familiar with. You got to figure it out, and you're going to be scared at first, but after a while you're going to get used to it. So VR's not going away. By the time y'all start having children and stuff, they'll look like Oakley glasses, you know. It'll be definitely.
Yeah.
So I don't want to. So okay, it's quick brainstorming time. I'm gonna go back to the question I asked Jose. Knowing all the stuff we've said and we've been saying, and what do y'all think social media, and you cannot answer this more the same. Like, if it's not going to be more the same, where do you see the direction of? And when I say it doesn't even have to be social media, it could be something like, okay, we're going to go away from social media into this other kind of interaction that we haven't even thought about, right? We didn't know we was going to be interacting like Facebook until we started interacting with Facebook. So do y'all see anything that y'all have been using maybe in the game, you know, in the gaming space? You mentioned that you do Discord calls. You know, WhatsApp is a really big, you know, some people consider that a social media. That's like a global app that everybody uses.
Yeah.
You know, the X app is trying to be the everything app that's like in Asia. So you can use it for everything, payment and everything. But I don't think X is going to survive, to be honest. But what do y'all think from Generation Z? I got $5 million to invest in a 5-year, you know, the airport with the, what's that word, with the planes?
Runway?
Runway, yeah. It's like a game. You got a 5-year runway. You got $5 million in a 5-year runway to, like, predict what people are going to respond to in that space. What do you
Ever
think?
since the TikTok ban, the 12-hour ban, I've been saying Red Note got huge literally overnight just because TikTok was getting banned. And I think even though it's back now, I do think it'll stay. The way people went back to TikTok seems very much like we're back permanently. They're saying it's temporary, but it's permanent. But people are missing that global network aspect that Red Note does have. I've been on the app since it first took off a few weeks ago, and I've seen the evolution of different conversations that people are having with people who are living in China, even if it's somebody speaking Mandarin and someone speaking English who's in the United States. It's really allowed people to compare different cultures, which has been interesting. And I remember seeing a post from an American user saying, what's a stereotype you guys have about us? And someone in the comments who was from China said, is it true you guys have to pay for ambulances? And it started this whole big conversation between the Americans and the Chinese users on the app. And it was really interesting seeing people's reactions to what life is like as an American citizen. And I think as of right now, TikTok is filling that content void, but I don't think it'll fill that question void for a while. People want to hear what's going on in other countries. They want to expand their palette, essentially. And I think a global social media network could be really cool. And we even see it with apps like Duolingo and that kind of stuff. Duolingo is probably the biggest Gen Z brand I personally think. People want to learn new languages. They want to learn about new cultures. And I think the algorithm with any app, limiting it to location, is limiting that ability. And I think that's what a lot of people really want.
Okay, let me interject. Fun. Like, I think most of these apps gain traction in the beginning because they're fun.
Yes.
You know, after apps become mature, like Facebook became less fun and more like work. Yeah. It was a place for businesses to show their stuff, or you to show your event, or it just does too much. So it's like, you know, y'all jumped off of it. Like, everybody's still on it. Everybody still has a Facebook account, but y'all stopped using it. I think y'all were the first generation to just kind of stop using it altogether, really. But what's going to be fun?
I don't know about fun, but I think to build off of that previous
What about
question-
fun, though?
I don't.
Is fun
Going
not social
outside,
media anymore?
hopefully.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is I think it's gonna. Sorry, I'll let you talk.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think for fun, I'm going to agree with these guys here, is like going outside. I think people are going to start being fed up with the technology and staying inside all the time and just start going to see natural beauty. Because with the rise of AI generation, AI text, it all kind of feels soulless and like there's no connection to be had with it. And I think once that becomes more proliferated in the community, you're going to start seeing AI, like images all over the place, AI, like videos, and people are going to get fed up with it, basically. Well, people like us are going to get fed up with it, like the critical thinkers of society. You know, the Joe Schmo is going to see an AI video and be like, okay, that was weird, and scroll. But I think generally, I think there's a prerogative to start going outside and seeing natural beauty and just connect with people face to face. I think the art of conversation and the kind of emotional weight's not a good word. The emotional like connection and fulfillment that an actual face-to-face conversation brings you is very forgotten in these days. And I think once that becomes a trend of just going outside, talking to people, breathing in fresh air, I think a lot of that will come back into view, and we're going to get something more simplistic where you post videos of you outside, or you snap videos of you outside, and it's just that.
I can dig it. Y'all are... Okay, I'm trying... Y'all are giving, like, the perfect answers, right? I'm almost like, okay, we're all learned, we're college students, we're educated, I feel you, the environment, right? What if I had we mentioned idiots earlier, whatever that means, right?
Yeah.
What if I had a room full of idiots in here? What would they say?
I mean,
Be empathetic to the idiot.
I don't think TikTok's going anywhere. Like,
It's not going
for a very, very, very long time. I could see partially people sharing more authentic content. We've seen that with the Get Ready With Me Day in My Life already a little bit. But taking on a new light, the idiots, however, I'm not exactly sure, because there's different classifications of idiots. So I think...
Give me those classes. I would love to... Give me a couple classifications of
Oh
idiot.
boy, putting me on blast. I mean, I could see some people... I don't really want to say idiot. I kind of want to say ignorance.
Okay.
Yes.
The people who rot in their bed all day and just scroll on their phones. I mean,
Which can be beneficial.
yes, I have a day like that
Be rich,
sometimes.
You can be very fulfilled if you're just scrolling on your phones.
There's
Okay.
a distinction between sitting there scrolling through all day, not going outside, eating fast food every day, and just kind of being content with just staying stagnant inside, doing nothing.
Yeah.
And just having an off day where you're inside all day
Yeah.
scrolling. And
Yeah.
back to you.
Yeah. So I think some people might be stuck in that way, where every day's laying in bed, scrolling content, trying to find something new, playing video games constantly. Like, there's no issue with doing any of that stuff in moderation at all. But when it's your whole life, that becomes a whole different issue. So I think there's going to be a movement to make socials a bit more authentic. And it's been proven with our generation. We react best to authentic content. We don't want to see the glam and the glitz. We want to see what really went into it.
Just
Okay,
Yeah.
quick question. what do y'all use, just individually, everybody, that technology-wise, that you don't think anybody else uses?
Like in this room or just ever?
Well, the people in this room ever, like, for instance, you said you do Discord calls. I don't do Discord calls. You did Discord calls?
Yeah.
You did Discord calls?
I used to.
You Discord calls? So it's like a unique thing. Like, is there anything you kind of do, like, I'm trying to think of things I do. To interact with my friends or just be social. Like, I use Twitch. We haven't mentioned Twitch. I wouldn't consider Twitch it's probably it is social media.
Yeah.
Like, it's definitely a social media platform. I've been trying to get more into Twitch because this is a different kind of language at Twitch.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a different
It's
feel.
like gamer lingo.
Yeah, but you're seeing more and more DJs on Twitch and people just talking,
Live streams.
just chatting,
Like
this.
Yeah.
But they're putting it on Twitch.
There's people that do like daily live Twitches, like where
Yeah.
they walk around just talking to people.
So I'm trying to get to next. It's hard to think about next when we're so consumed by now, right?
Yeah.
It's very difficult because we don't, like I said before, we don't know what we know until we know it. So as a human beings, so when I was giving you like the ink block looking test, right? So it's like you're gonna look at something, you're gonna always think it looks like something else because we feel like we've seen everything. So if I give you something that this really is nothing, you're gonna be like, you know what that looks like? A giraffe. You know who you look like? Professor Drake. You know, it's like, it's like everything has to look or be something else. Yeah. So I'm like, what I look for is the anomalies, the things that kind of stick out that you didn't even notice, but can you think of, and I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but like some anomalies personally, like don't think of the masses, think of you personally.
I've got a good one, and I think it's so video game consoles and computers have these programs where you can clip like the last 30 seconds of something that happened.
Yep.
And I think that's a big thing with me and my friends, where when anything funny happens or stand out or one of us is being stupid, we always clip it and we send it to each other and we just laugh about it.
Yes.
And we share those moments that we had together through these digital platforms of games.
What's that one app? What's the social media app that kind of came and gone? We talked about it in class. Be yourself or something. What was it called?
It's the one where it was like
Be Real.
Be Real.
Yeah. I think
Is that still rocking?
Not really.
Some people are still on it, but
So that was a unique idea that they put out there and tried. I won't say it failed yet, but it seemed like it kind of like didn't gain the traction it thought.
It's died out.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, like the people I knew who used it were almost in a way like staging their Be Reals.
Yeah.
It wasn't real anymore.
Yeah, so like it defeated the whole purpose. I never actually like personally got on the app, but like all the friends around me that were using it and stuff, I noticed most of them would try to like stage it to like make it look better than like better than what they were trying to. I don't know if that makes sense, but like better than what they're actually doing.
I mean, I was on it for probably a year or so, and I would try to use it in the sense that like it was meant to be used. If I was sitting on the toilet, I'd do a picture of my face in the ceiling. Like, I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was the funniest thing ever. But after a year or so of doing it, the way the app works is it gives you a notification and it says it's time to be real.
Right.
And you click on it, snap your picture, front to back camera, and you can react to other people's Be Reals. But if you post it late, people will get a notification. My followers, if I posted one late, it will say, your friend, Sydney, posted her Be Real late, or whatever it says.
Damn.
So once you get past like 10, 15 followers or so, and you're getting all of those late notifications, it gets annoying. And you can't turn off notifications because then you don't know when it's time to be real. So that was my issue with the app.
So it's kind of like, so I see some synergies between the Be Real and what you're talking about, the last 30 seconds. Like I do that when I play Rocket League, and like I make a dope goal, and I'm like, I hit the little thing on the Xbox controller to save the last 30 seconds of it. And it's like, actually, I have, usually, I had an app idea, right? Because it's something, sometimes you're doing stuff just in real life, though, that you want to get off your chest, or you're talking to your boy and you do something dope, or you shot a piece of a paper wad from far and it went swish, and you look around, nobody saw it. But if there was something on, you had this app that you can just hit a button and it's like, record the last 30 seconds of my life, right?
Yeah. That would be a really cool thing. I kind of want that. 'Cause I remember I went bowling with a couple friends, and there was like this big like event thing going on that was like, if you hit a strike, you get this free thing. It was like a free T-shirt or whatever. And we were all hyping up my friend. We were like, "You got this!" You know, we're giving back massages. We were yelling at him, "You got this! You got this!" Lights turn off. They go 3, 2, 1, bowl. He goes up, rolls it straight into the gutter. We all scream.
Yeah.
It was so funny, and it was just an in the moment thing. Nobody's recording, but I would love to have that on video and make it just a physical thing. I could always just look back on, watch it, and laugh.
We might be able to get to that point eventually. It'd
I
probably
think-
be like Big Brother, and it'd probably be like nefariously terrible.
Oh yeah.
Big
Yeah.
Brother freaks me
Because it's
out.
going to be cameras everywhere. You can
I
just like
think,
tap
um,
into the system and.
I wanted to talk about this earlier when you said innovation.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you guys remember, but do you guys remember when like Google started doing Google like lenses in like your like physical like glasses?
Yeah.
And it was like this whole like thing where you could like do all this with just your like eyes.
Google Glass, yeah.
Yeah. I think if we workshop that a little to make it just like I don't know, like not like a spy cam, but like just sort of a thing that monitors you with like a 360 cam, let's say. Like this is like extremely like
Like
bad
the Vision
idea.
Pro can do that,
Yeah.
basically.
But like on like aviator glasses, not like this
Yeah.
big chunk of metal on your head that makes you look stupid. I think what you could do if those were like normalized and like a technology that works is that you could make that app where it captures the camera and audio of what happened in the last 30 seconds
Yeah.
and it saves it to like the cloud or something.
Yeah.
And that's how that would work. But that would require the normalization of that technology and constantly wearing it.
And a lot of disclaimers. And,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
and
but I
did,
mean-
I was like
So
thinking
much
about
legal
the
trouble.
disclaimers. I'm like, oh, that,
So much
the
legal
the
trouble.
problem I have with that is that starts to sound like 1984 by George Orwell.
Yeah, no, that's why I
that's
said it's a bad
But
idea.
it's a bad. I did. So I said it because usually I don't say stuff.
No, yeah.
Somebody might steal it, but I'm like that can't happen either
Yeah.
because I have to have permission to record you.
not necessarily. So in public in the United States, that's a constitutionally protected right. Is any area that you're able to public accessible area, you're able to film anything you want, that you could stand in a public area that any other member of the public could access. You can video anything that you would be able to see from that spot.
Word.
The thing that gets tricky is when you become on private property, and that includes like Target, Walmart, any of these stores, that's private property. And so then they can tell you, then that's where it gets dicey because you don't have any constitutional protected rights to film.
Word.
Yeah. And the way it works with like the consoles and your computer is that you specifically download this and you give it access to your microphone, your screen,
You got to give permissions.
and your party, and
Yep.
it's like you have to give it all these permissions to do this thing. And if the whole like wearing a camera on your face thing actually happens, there's so much like legal trouble with constantly recording or being monitored and all that. It kind of reminds me of like Siri and stuff like that. It's like, how does it know to listen for Hey Siri or like Amazon Alexa?
This is how
stuff
code
like that.
works, and we're gonna wrap this up. This is how code works. Is everything based on code still, right? So coding, so you can set in code. You can have a listener. It's kind of like it's called a listener, right? And I know developers out there, no, it's not called a listener, but it's like a listener. You set something in the code which says just keep listening. It's just like it's like an open prompt, like just keep listening forever, like just listen for a specific word. So it's not like taking that much energy, but it is taking a little energy to like stay on and listen. But it's like soon as it hears hey, and I don't want to say it because it's going to open up everybody's phones, but hey or go Google or something like that, then it's just like, oh, I hear you, what's up? But it's it's not necessarily listening. It's just like it's a piece of the code saying just like if you hear this prompt, do something. But it has to be on for that to happen. So okay, what I'm hearing though is 10 years from now we're going to be on TikTok. We're going to be on TikTok. We're going to be on TikTok, a different version of TikTok. It might be on our palm.
See,
It might be on VR, but it's still just going to be TikTok.
I don't think it's gonna be TikTok. To be honest,
What's it going to be then, John? That's what I'm asking.
I think it's gonna be kind of similar to what they both said, where it's gonna be some sort of a global, like kind of where, like you said, Red Note. Like Red Note's global,
TikTok is
but I don't
talking
think,
about that kind
yeah,
of
yeah, but I don't think that interface, that user where you're scrolling through videos, for example. I don't think that's going to be around in 10 years. I think it's going to be something where it's more we can already see it with blue skies. I think it's going to actually fall back, and I think it's going to look kind of maybe either more like Snapchat or what Instagram used to look like, where maybe you can share, or Twitter even, like maybe you can share a few posts here and there like that are images, but for the most part it's more text, and you have people who you follow and stuff, and you can message them, and that's like your close friends, and it could be used to stay in contact with, for example, like friends or family members that may either move across the country, out of the country, so on and so forth. But I think the key to that sort of a technology is for it to be almost in a way unregulated, for it to work globally, because I think if other governments, global governments, start to get involved with it and censorship starts to happen, I think without that censorship, that knowledge of exactly, which is kind of like Red Note right now, from my understanding, there's not a whole bunch of censorship. I mean, who really knows? But I think that's something that's key, because it allows us to actually see, like the misconception what you mentioned earlier about the paying for ambulances, things like that. You actually get to see really into these people's lives in these other countries, more so of what the news doesn't tell you, the propaganda might not tell you, and it'll really just set you straight. And I mean, you can really realize that there's still people at the end of the day, regardless of what either my news or my government or their government wants them to think of, wants us to think of them. At the end of the day, they're people, and they live the exact same way we do. They just go about it a little differently. And I think that is a key thing, and I think that'll be a major portion in the next social media, at least, is just a transparency between countries. Because I think that's something that's very
more
wanted.
Global.
Yeah.
More global TikTok, more global Facebook. So this is, I'm gonna give you what I hope, not what I kind of prognosticate, but what I hope. Well, okay, this is my one prediction, that whatever it is going to be more gamified.
Oh yeah.
So it's gamification, right? So for instance, I'm just brainstorming, freestyling right now. I'm freestyling. If it's a gamified app, something like, okay, we all have these phones, and then we're all part of this app, but the intent of the app is to like win a race, right? But the race is maybe real-time events, like in video games, like you have 5 seconds to like hit the red. You know, whoever hit the red the fastest, you like ease up on this virtual race. Or you gotta like go to a certain space. They tried that with like Pokemon Go and these other platforms, that kind of, but I could see people kind of doing that. But especially like, it could be kind of like Be Real, like you got like 10 seconds to do this, or you got 30 seconds to do this, and it's like, hit that, or answer this question, or, you know, show this photo or something. And it's like a race. It's something to gamify. I haven't seen social media being gamified effectively yet. I would love to see gamification, because if you're going to be doom scrolling, at least make it competitive. At least make it active somehow.
Well, because all you get out of it is the instant gratification. I mean, like me, I explained it to you guys earlier. Like, it's almost like a drug for me. I just go through it, and every time I've realized this lately, every single video I come up to or picture I come up to, I double tap and I like it before I even look at the damn video. And it's great. It's instant gratification.
I think to loop back to what you're saying about like, the gamification, I think one of the biggest things that technology could advance to is have like, you know how cars have some like gesture like things in them where you can like gesture to make something happen? I think something with your face, like facial recognition and like eye movement or something like that, could probably work its way into social media. And
TikTok already does that.
Does it?
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What does it do?
It tracks your facial movements to see how you respond to content.
Oh, that's so weird. I had no idea.
Yeah.
That is not on my phone. And the other thing I hope, and I could see this happening, if I was going to like see the future, this would be my gamble. It'd take the form of kind of what we're seeing with music. You mentioned it in movies, like in old shows. So like I'm a hip hop head, right? The older artists are having a moment right now. They're making the most money touring with concerts. They're dropping albums, and more people are listening to their stuff than the new cats. It's like we're having a renaissance. We are having a renaissance. So maybe we'll see a renaissance with social media, and we'll maybe go back to like old Instagram or even old MySpace or old Friendster, like some things y'all never heard of. It would be like, it would be like a throwback for y'all. It'd be brand new for y'all. MySpace would be brand new for y'all.
Yeah.
Y'all would love MySpace. MySpace was such a vibe. Because it was the Wild Wild West. It was so nuts.
I think there's like similar things out there. I've seen people online have like these things on their profiles. Where you like click on the link and it takes you like a personalized page for them. But they're like there's like 7 of them, so it's like there's no like
Linktree?
one unified. No, not that's one of them. But there's like I forget. It was like I think it's called Straw Page. There's a couple of my friends showed me like really cool ones where you can like code your own web page basically and have it be all about you and you. It's like the Wild Wild West, like
Right.
MySpace, like you
Right.
mentioned. And I think if that becomes more
Then you
popular,
add some social media parts of it where
Yeah.
you can find your friends, like just the stuff we know about.
See, I don't know if I agree with you guys.
I'm
I
not-
think
we're just throwing stuff on the wall.
Yeah,
Sydney.
exactly.
We're just throwing, see what sticks.
respectfully, I think TikTok is going to be around for a very long time. I think if it sells to another company or developer and the software changes, which changes the algorithm, I think they'll lose a lot of people.
Oh yeah.
yeah,
but-
like the biggest thing.
Exactly. It's what makes TikTok special. And I think if the algorithm stays the same, I think TikTok's just going to keep updating because they'll see what we want and they don't want someone else to beat them to it. I think it's just going to keep adding features, and it'll become an Instagram for us. Even though there's been this movement recently to get off of Instagram has become a tried and true. It's the new Facebook.
Instagram is Facebook. Facebook bought Instagram.
Exactly.
Like YouTube and Google. Google bought YouTube.
Yeah.
So it's if YouTube is the second most used search engine, then that means Google is the first and second most popular
Yeah.
search engine.
Yeah.
So yeah, TikTok's not going anywhere, or things like TikTok. But there's going to be multiple things. So the key is so if I had any walking orders or just something to do and think about over, we're not about to go on a break, but just within time is think about what's next. But it's going to make you look at things different. It's going to make you notice what the younger people than you, like what are the 10 and 12 and 13-year-olds rocking? Yeah. Like go ask them, just observe what they're doing. It's not necessarily what they're using, it's how they're interacting with each other.
Yeah.
Are they talking? Are they whispering? Are they singing? Is it more dancing? Back in my day, if you wanted to battle somebody, you went out and breakdance battle with them. That was a thing. That was an interaction. So how are people interacting with each other in what spaces and how? Is it loud? Is it soft? Is it aggressive? Is it non-aggressive? And that will give you insight. That will give us all insight of like what's next in the social. And I don't like just because it's labeled social media, but it's just in that space of interacting with each other. Because I think if we keep going down the TikTok, I think if TikTok is the most popular app for the next 10 years, what's going to happen is it's going to be less social media. It's just going to be media.
Oh yeah.
Because TikTok is really not social. Facebook's still social. Instagram is still social. Twitter is still social. TikTok, it's
TikTok's-
more just watching TV.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
bordering that line of YouTube and Instagram where it's like you can interact with your friends on there,
Yeah.
but
you don't have
mainly-
to.
Yeah, mainly it's just used for videos. So it's like when TikTok kind of crosses that medium of media, it's like social media versus just media in general, like YouTube or Twitch, where it's not you're not interacting with your friends, you're interacting with strangers and like content creators and influencers, and I think that's going to be a big push in the next social media.
I think influencers is an issue too. My bad.
Oh yeah, they are.
It's an issue.
They are, but like
Because they're not stars.
Oh no.
Like Hollywood, you had to go through you got to go through some stuff to become a star, to become a person.
Yeah.
Influencers is like, I'll do anything to be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything in the world,
And
and
there's-
that's scary.
And it's a huge. So I was looking into it for a marketing campaign the other day, what high schoolers want to be when they grow up. And I was baffled at the results. It was the top 6 answers from boys and girls. For boys, a doctor or a nurse was number 6. Usually that would be 1, 2, 3 in that range. It was all musician, podcaster, content creator. For young girls, artist was on the list. And I think that relates to what we're talking about directly. Yeah. And it also shows that this next generation growing up, like, if I told my mom or dad when I was younger that I wanted to be an artist or an influencer or some sort of performer, I guess, they would have been like, what are you doing? You're not going to make any money. But this new generation doesn't care. They just want to be happy.
Yeah, they just...
Every generation is different.
Well, and you wonder if it's that, too, because, I mean, they grew up watching it, too. I mean, if you think about it.
Yeah.
So, like, and I think the opportunities for them to actually work in that field will be more. Because, like, when I was younger, kind of like piggybacking on what you said, I actually wanted to be, like, a YouTuber because I thought that was so cool.
You give me YouTuber vibes.
Yeah, and so I remember, like, my dad, he would constantly berate me. He would be like, he would make fun of me any chance he could about it because, I mean, it makes sense. Like, how are you going to make money off it, especially for someone like him? I mean, you there's no money to be made there. But now you look at it, and it's like most of what we consume is YouTube, podcasts, and music. And here's the thing. Now that we've mostly started to consume that, I mean, our generation, I would be willing to say that either as much TV as we watch podcasts and other stuff, or almost more than what we watch TV and movies. And I think that's just going to keep getting more and more popular. Yeah. So I think these younger kids are just going to have that opportunity to actually to do this and to actually be successful.
I mean, we're filming in a podcast booth at our university right now.
I actually think there should be a major that helps that. Like, I think, just like you can go to performing arts school if you want to be an entertainer, you know, that should be a part of the curriculum if you want to be an influencer or whatever that means.
I think to build off of what we were talking about just now is that we grew up watching YouTubers, and back when we were young, only the big ones made it big and like got the money. And now with the way YouTube is, social media, influencers, because there's a big like difference between content creators and influencers. Because content creation, there's so much that goes into it that you have to kind of respect what they're doing versus influencers who just kind of create their persona and post online, which I'm not going to say is easy. None of us in here could be influencers. Maybe you, because you study social media. But we couldn't pick it up one day and just do it. Like, if anybody out there listening or, you know, from personal experience have tried doing YouTube, is you know it's not easy to do this stuff and make it big and get hits and become a content creator. And I think that younger people seeing artists, musicians be able to have these tools and make it big, or not even make it big, just see their dreams fulfilled and make music, make art. I think it's pushing them to express themselves a lot more and embrace these mediums of alternative careers instead of, you know, businessmen, CEOs, nurses, doctors, astronauts.
There's going to be more opportunities for them because of AI.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't have to be a musician. I don't have to learn any kind of instrument. I don't even have to know how to sing. I can make music. Now, it doesn't mean it's going to be good.
Yeah, it won't be good.
But the tools that we had to learn to do a lot of skills, you're not going to need that kind of know-how because of AI. That's going to change everything quickly.
To, like, dabble in it.
But since y'all came up without AI, and y'all being interested. So what's happening with y'all is what happened to me. What happened to me, what I explained to y'all before, was I was in school. So I just looked it up. When was the .com bubble, right? Boom to bust. It was 1995 to 2001. When did I graduate high school? 1995. So I was in college from 1995 to 1999. So I was in college during the internet boom. I didn't even recognize it was booming until maybe my senior year. So I graduated at the tail end of it. I benefited from it. I am who I am today because I was thrust into that world not even knowing, because I couldn't get a job. I couldn't get any graphic design jobs at the time. Everybody wanted somebody to do web design. So y'all are at the same exact space. So by the time y'all graduate, AI is going to be a little more mature. And it's just going to be a part of y'all's lives, the fabric of y'all's lives and y'all's profession. And y'all going to be, if y'all embrace it, you will be at the cusp of it. Y'all would be the experts of it. But you got to embrace it.
And it's interesting too, because I've been told this multiple times, but everyone always says to me, "Oh, AI is going to come out here and take the jobs." In my opinion, I don't think AI is actually going to take any jobs. I think the people who actually know how to utilize AI and use it properly and have AI benefit them and, like you said, their work, their whatever they're doing, and I think that's what's really going to happen.
Yeah, I
Agreed.
think the people that say AI is taking jobs are kind of overblowing the issue because it's just companies cutting costs. It'll happen. It happened with self-registers, cutting down on materials, getting cheaper materials, getting foreign labor. It happens. And I don't think that leveraging AI as the issue is going to be the solution to that because they're going to hire more people to have AI do these things.
There's going to be new jobs.
Yeah,
that's
there's
the
going to be new
point.
jobs.
There's going to be new jobs.
The old jobs might go
You have to
away.
be ready for the new jobs.
And then those new jobs are going to be like, we can cut costs here, and that may cost a job. And that's just how the corporate world works.
Anything having to do with creativity, media, whether you're doing graphic design or business or fashion or entrepreneurship, literally everything all of us say we're good at, you need to be able to adapt to things. And that goes back to social media as well. As someone with social media experience and who has an internship in social media right now, I was freaking out when TikTok got banned. And there are companies that only had one platform they were posting content on consistently, or one platform that they really put effort into. Luckily for me, that wasn't the case, but it really, for a lot of people, it was a luck thing, but it should be a strategy thing. And I think whether it's with AI, searching for jobs, social media, you need to be able to adapt or else you're going to be stuck 10 years ago.
Right.
Yeah.
So, hey, I'm gonna wrap this up now. I know we can talk for a lot longer. We can have a part 3 and 4. Like, that might happen. I might reach out to y'all. But if there's anything to wrap from this is we just have to be agile. Mm-hmm. If I was going to, like, Pee-wee's, y'all don't remember Pee-wee's Playhouse, but...
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I was going to say I do.
He always had a word of the day.
Yeah.
Scream. So the word of the day is agile. Like, ah! So you got to scream. See?
Yep.
Agile.
Ah!
You have to be agile, right? You have to be agile or you're going to get left behind.
Yeah.
So before you were able... So social media, posting on social media is so easy to a guy like me. Because I came up in a time, in order to get your stuff out here, you had to buy ad space in a magazine or a newspaper or a commercial. But now it's like, hey, there's algorithms like, hey, you want to target a 13-year-old boys who love He-Man and love ice cream in the Midwest? We have an algorithm for that, and we can make sure only those people get it. Like. But it's going to change. It's going to, like, AI is going to change that. So you just got to be agile enough, right? And it might not just be technology. I think it's going to be less technology. I think the people that have more facility with culture, with the soft skills, just like cool people. I think we're in the era of the cool people. I'm just throwing that out there. We're going to enter in the era of just people, the coolest people are going to succeed, in my opinion. Because once you take the tools away, because a lot of people now can say, you don't know how to do this, so you can't do it. But with AI and all this tech, everybody's going to know how to do everything. Mm-hmm. So the personality is going to shine through the most, in my opinion. Yep. So hopefully that happens, and whatever kind of forms from that socially, hopefully it's better than TikTok.
Yeah.
I mean, I sound like the old fogey. I'm the old fogey in the room, but I'm like, TikTok is just like drugs. It's like
It is.
the ultimate drug.
It is.
It makes me uncomfortable.
Well, and it's interesting too that us, I mean, the people that are using it itself, I mean, we're the generation that loves TikTok, and we're over here agreeing and saying that, yeah, it is like a drug. I mean, it's addictive like a drug. It gives you.
And drug addicts would say to you, I like drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally.
But guess what? We don't care that it's like drugs.
And the biggest thing that says it to me is this whole ban thing. Yeah. Yes, I get from your perspective of social media marketing and all these businesses, they may only be on one platform, and that may be TikTok. However, at the exact same time, it's like It's just clearly a drug, and we are all clearly realizing that we're addicted to it when this whole ban thing happened. Everyone's over here freaking out, clearly we've done something wrong as a society, in my opinion, to us now being addicted to an app, to a social media platform. We're addicted to an app. How does that occur when you look at it? Less than 10 years ago, this didn't happen. We weren't addicted to the app.
It happened fast.
It happened real fast.
All right, anything else anybody want to add going forward? All right, so everybody say peace out.
Peace out, everybody.
Bye.
Peace out.
Thank y'all for participating. It was I need to do this more. Like this is most people I've ever had in this room doing this. Hopefully everything comes out cool. But fancy. So if I had a producer I could do that and they could do that and I wouldn't have to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, so thanks for, I always forget this. Like, subscribe, comment, right? If y'all have any insights of what's next in social media, and if you're still here after an hour and you're still watching, thank you. That's dope. That's dope. That's dope. I appreciate it. And I understand it's probably only like 2 or 3 of y'all. I appreciate the 2 and 3 of y'all who are still watching right now. If you're still watching, this is a test. If you're still watching, just put in the comments, still watching, right? Just put that. And I expect to get none, right? Because when I see my stats, I lose people. You lose people, right?
Yeah.
Right? It's just, but as a kind of like a usability test, if you're still watching right now, just go out your way, please, and put still watching so I can get a sense of who's watching or how many people are actually watching the whole thing. And if you are, I appreciate it. I appreciate y'all. And peace out. We out.